Hello, my quilty friends. It's Stacy of Stacy Creates Stuff, and today I'm going to make a quilt top in under 3 hours because that's how much time I have before I have to head out somewhere. This is a remake of a quilt that I designed last year called Striped Illusion, and I wanted to make another version of this quilt that didn't use prints per se. The fabrics that I used last time were a linen texture, not actual linen, still quilting cotton. And this time I wanted to make it with these stunning fabrics that kind of look like marble. Aren't they beautiful? I have had my eye on these for so long, and now I'm going to make a quilt with them. So let's get going. Time is a ticking. This is a super simple quilt top to make. Only 4 fabrics. You need a little over a yard of each. You're just going to cut a whole bunch of strips. I have refolded the fabric because we are going to be cutting parallel to the selvage instead of width of fabric. We are cutting length of fabric, and that is why you need a little bit more than a yard, about 1.1 yards. The pattern for this quilt is available for free from my website. I will put a link in the description below and also a QR code here on the screen. Kits are available for both this version and the original version from my favorite quilt shop, Vintage Pink and Green. I will also link that in the description below, and here is the QR code to purchase that. So I am cutting my strips. When you are cutting any length of fabric, you sometimes have to re-square up your cuts. So far, so good on this one, but we'll see as we go. I am also making sure that I am aligned on the fold so I don't get any sort of chevron shaped stripes. And I'm going to cut up this entire width of fabric. You only need to cut 21 strips. I'm cutting 2 at a time, so I actually end up with 22. Always nice to have a little extra. I'm loving my new to me, grippy ruler handle. If you have ever thought that seemed like a silly idea, and certainly you could just hold down the ruler yourself, let me tell you, this is a game changer. And if you want to see any of my favorite tools, I have links in the description below. And you can also check out this QR code. That is an affiliate link. And if you do purchase anything, it will not cost you any more, and I will get a very small percentage of that sale. We're going to be making strip sets that use 7 strips of 2 different fabrics to make a strip set. And we'll be making a total of 6 strip sets. 4 different combinations. Let's start with the first one, which is going to be our lovely orange, kind of our brown. So I need 7 of these strips. And each set is 2, so that's 2, 4, 6, 7. And I am putting that with the green. 2, 4, 6, 7. All right, so that is one set. Set that aside for a moment. The next is the orangey color again, and I'll be making 2 sets from this one, so I will actually need 14. And because I cut 2 strips at a time, I do have 1 left over. I can just toss that aside for now. I will be pairing this with the fabric that has the pink in it. And again, because I'm making 2 sets, I will need a total of 14 strips. All right, we're going to set that aside for the moment. The next combination will also make 2 sets. So again, 14, and that will be the purples. And that is paired with the green. Right? That combination, again, 2 sets. And that we have that extra one of that. And that leaves us with the purples and the one with the pink in it. And I only need 1 set of this combination. So that's 7 of each strip. 7 of that, and then 7 of the ones with the pink. Obviously, there's a much more subtle transition there. And I think I'm going to change my mind. So I have these 2 paired together, and then I have the purple and green. So we've already paired the green with the orange, which I really like. And I think I would rather see these 2 paired together and these 2 paired together. Yes. All right, so I'm changing my mind. That is the great thing about this pattern. All the fabrics were of equal amounts. You cut equal number of strips of all of them. And so you have that flexibility within reason. So yeah, I think that's going to be fabulous together, and these will be fabulous together. Time to start sewing. And now I'm going to cut a total of 4 9.5-inch wide segments out of this strip. So first off, I have to square up the edge here. Now I don't have a ruler that is wide enough on its own, so I am going to put 2 rulers together. Even if you don't have 2 long rulers, you could use 1 long ruler and a shorter ruler, as long as that shorter ruler is long enough to give you some stability. Like I wouldn't use a 4-inch square unless that was the only thing that I had left. And remember, it's okay if you need to re-square up your edge. We have a lot of seams in here, and things can get a little wonky as you go along, or a lot wonky. And just as you settle the fabric down, it waves in various ways. All right, that strip set is all done. All right, here is the start. But you can see that those top 2 there, the orange carries through and the other color changes, and then the second 2, it's the purple that's carrying all the way across, and the orange changes to the pink and teal. So that's the effect that it is going for, and I'm liking this combination, and I'm excited to get that last set done. There are 24 blocks in total, so putting that part together will go relatively quickly. However, my 3 hours are up. I have to head off to my meeting, but I'm going to come back, finish up this quilt, and we'll see how long it really takes me to make. The next day, I continued sewing strips together, and then once I had a strip set, I cut those apart into the 9.5-inch blocks. Then it was time to lay out the quilt. All right, another 3 hours have gone by, and I do have all the strip sets cut or sewn together, and I just have 1 left to cut apart. That goes into these missing spots, one hiding behind the table there. And but I did sew together these 4 blocks here. In the instructions, I originally wrote them that you sew across in rows. You can certainly do that. I was just impatient, and I just kind of wanted to see if sewing it together in blocks of 4 would make it a little bit easier to put together. So I'm trying that out. You could sew an entire column together and sew it together in columns, whatever floats your boat. So, but it's looking really great. I particularly like the blocks that are together because they flow ever so nicely. They're all beautifully aligned. So I'm going to take a little break for now, and I'll come back, and I'm thinking, oh, about another hour or so, I should have the top done. We'll see how accurate I am about that. if you have followed the pressing instructions that are in the pattern, and if you do that, then you will be able to nest all the seams. And look how pretty they are. So yes, you won't have any bulky seams in this quilt. I have now sewn 6 units together. So each unit is made up of 4 blocks. It's essentially 2 blocks wide by 2 blocks deep. And something important to note, especially with this colorway, which I really love, but it's sometimes a little hard to distinguish the fabrics. Not when you're looking at them like this, they're very distinct, but when they're in your hand on the sewing machine, it is a little bit easy to get somewhat confused. So these 3 units across the top are actually the same as these 3 units along the bottom, but rotated. So this one here on, there we go, on the end, if I were to take this unit here and turn it around, you can see the orange and purple are on the outer edge. That's the same as this. The orange and purple are on the outer edge. And the unit with the green and pink and the purple and pink, green and pink. And the middle 2 units are the same, just again, rotated, and the same with the upper right corner and the lower left corner. They are the same, just rotated. So that may make it easier in constructing them. You could just get these 3 correct, make them again, flip them around. All right, I'm going to sew this together as these 3 units across the top into the top half of the quilt, the 3 units in the bottom as the bottom half of the quilt, sew the 2 halves together, and I will have my quilt top. And here we have the finished quilt. It did take me, of course, more than 3 hours to put together. I don't think I really factored in how long it takes to sew all those strips together. But once the strip sets are sewn, it goes together very quickly after that. So you could definitely make this in a weekend. You can make it in a day. It took me a total of about 7.5 hours to make the entire quilt top. Now there are a few tips that I have in putting this particular colorway together. The original colorway used essentially solids, although they had a linen texture to them. And this one, because there is more subtle differences between the colorways. Yes, the orange is easy to see, but that pink one, the one that has pink and green and teal and a little purple in it, that made it a little more difficult to tell the 2 together. So I recommend marking your strips and then just doing a strip set at a time rather than trying to make multiple strip sets at once. And then you can just follow the diagram in the instructions on how to lay out the various blocks. Now, you are the quilter, so you can decide whether you want to arrange them in a different way. That is totally fine. And in this particular colorway, because the colors are so close to each other, you don't necessarily have to follow the rule that I followed, especially in the original version, where you had a color that went all the way across 2 blocks and then it switched to other 2 colors and so forth. You can arrange these blocks any way that you want. It's your quilt. So I hope you have enjoyed this particular rendition of the striped illusion. I'm calling it Canyon Reflections because when it was all done, it really reminded me of the Grand Canyon. And I just love that striation that is going with all the horizontal stripes. And I really thought it exemplified the canyon colors with the orange and then the green mixed with that. And then there's just beautiful shades of purples and teals and pinks that represented the canyon into the distance and then also the sky. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please like and subscribe. And just a reminder that there are links in the description below if you are interested in downloading the free pattern or purchasing the kit from my favorite quilt shop, Vintage Pink and Green. Until next time, my friends, I'm Stacy of Stacy Creates Stuff. Why not check out this?